What's up, guys, and welcome to the Collect-A-King review channel. In this video, we got our hands on a really cool figure that we found at Best Buy for $30. I am talking about the DC Multiverse McFarlane Toy Line Collector's Edition Batman figure. I cannot wait to dive into this guy because I am a huge Batman fan. Let's get into it. Alright, in this video, we're going to be going over 3 topics of conversation: presentation, articulation, and whether or not this figure is something that you should pick up for your collection or that you should pass on. First up, presentation. Right here, as you guys can see, we have our standard DC Multiverse box with the window on the front, displaying the figure and the accessories that he comes with on the inside. Here on the bottom, we have the DC Multiverse logo and the name of the figure. And then we have 12 Plus up here in the right-hand corner, the McFarlane Toys logo. And up on the left-hand corner, it says we have 22 moving parts. Down the side of the box, McFarlane Collector's Edition. Pretty cool. Here on this side of the box, we have more of the same with the logo, McFarlane Collector's Edition, Batman Battle Damage Blue, and The Dark Knight Returns. This figure in the collector's line is number 21, as you can see right here. Here on the back, we have a very beaten up, tore up Batman. Very cool artwork. I'm really liking this. On this side, more of the same with the logo, the name of the figure here, and once again, the number of the figure in the collector line. So far, this is exactly what I would be expecting for the inbox part of the presentation from the McFarlane toy line. Without further ado, let's open him up. There we go. Get him out nice and easy. Try to take good care of the box because I actually like to save my boxes. Now that we have the figure out of the box, we're going to get our first 360 view of him. And as we do, let's talk about him a little bit. Right off the rip, I'd like to say I am extremely excited to have an older head sculpt for the Batman figures. We've gotten a lot of renditions of Batman, but we have yet to get what I would consider to be a very good older version of the figure. And this, for me, is exactly it. I am in love with the way they did this. We'll get a closer look at the figure here in a little bit. But as we're talking about him right now, I would just like to say I love the hair, looks great. The lines and the wrinkles in the face, really cool. And throughout the body, this whole sculpt is awesome. It's definitely reused from another Batman figure, but what they've done with it here is absolutely amazing. I love how he looks like he's just been going through war for years. The tears in the suit, everything just works really well together. It's kind of stinks that they didn't go with a cloth cape because I have started to really enjoy all the McFarlane figures, Batman, Superman, Robin, and the list goes on, that have been using the cloth capes, especially the wired ones, because they're so fun to pose on the shelf. When you get a cape like this, we all know there's not a whole lot you can do with it. It is what it is. It's basically going to stay that way. I also noticed that he's got kind of this Wolverine thing going on in his right hand there. Did not notice that when I was first taking him out of the box because it all just blends in. It's all one color. So I believe these are Batarangs. I wish they were different on the color. Maybe make them black or something so they stood out a little bit more. Because unless you're really pointing it out right off the bat, you don't notice it that much. But it's still pretty cool. Just wish the colors were a little bit different, and I wish he had a cloth cape. Other than that, so far, I'm really impressed by this figure. before we get a close-up look at him, let's go ahead and check out the accessories that he came with. Up first, for the accessories, let's get the boring stuff out of the way, and I am of course talking about the black DC peg stand. Once you've seen one of these, you've pretty much seen them all. Now, let's talk about not one, but two sets of hands that he came with. And just to save some time, we're going to do one of each. So he came with two open hands for holding accessories, and then two closed fists for punching bad guys in the throat. Then he came with a really cool battering whip or rope. Pretty neat. And then he came with one of these, a big light post. I mean, I guess you could pose him on the shelf standing under the light post. Imagine the light beating down on him as he's prowling the streets at night looking for the bad guys. But considering that Batman likes to hide in the dark and jump out and surprise the bad guys, I don't know why he'd be standing underneath a light post, but you know what? It's a cool accessory anyways. And now let's take a look at that amazing head sculpt. Wow. That's actually, this thing looks really good. I got the dimple in the chin there. Wrinkles in the face, you can tell he's old. Got the wrinkles on the back of the head, on the back of the cowl. Wow, that's a really cool head sculpt. And last but not least, we all know that these figures come with a card. Same artwork here that's on the back of the box. Here's the back of the card with the data file, if you'd like to read up a little bit here. And before we go any further, I'd just like to say, if you guys are liking the content and you have been watching a few of the videos, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button and become a part of the Collected King family, and hit that bell for notifications so you guys can get notified every time we upload new content. And it would really greatly help me if you are liking the videos to hit that like button and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about this figure, if it's something you're excited about or if it's something you're going to pass on. Doing all these things greatly helps out the channel. Thank you. Okay, now we have the figure back in front of us. Let's get that up close look at him. Starting with that head sculpt. Look at that, come on. That actually might be one of the best head sculpts to date from the McFarlane toy line. Look at the detail in his hair. Really cool. A little bit of texture here on the bat symbol. Got the tears there. I really like the wash that they went with. Got a little bit of worn look here to the top of the cape where it's kind of discolored. It looks like he's been using this cape for a very long time. It's pretty cool. I like all the nice, little subtle touches they did on this guy. He looks really good. I like the classic, yellow, really bright yellow bat belt here, utility belt. Here's a closer look at, like I was saying earlier, they got that like Wolverine thing kind of going on here with the batarangs in his hand. Really cool. This figure, in my mind, looks absolutely awesome. I like the fact that he's big and bulky, too. I'm kind of biased, though. I like when my figures, they got a lot of muscle on them. I like that. Makes them, in my mind, have a little bit more shelf presence. But this is where we come to the end of the presentation portion of this video. And it is at this point that I do like to give the figures a rating based on how good their presentation was. And I do the same thing later in the video when we do the articulation part. And the way that I do my ratings is on a scale of 1 to 10. So without further ado, here's my rating for the presentation portion of this video. I'm going to give him an 8.0 flat. To be honest with you, the only reason why he's down to an 8 is due to I wish, they used a cloth cape, but I get what they were going with here. I do understand. And then I do wish that, these batarangs were black so they didn't just blend in with the hand like that. But other than that, everything else is pretty amazing. Some of you guys might give it a little bit of a lower rating, but I don't know. 8.0 sounds really good to me. So there you have it. There's the rating. let's go ahead and move on to the articulation part of this video. Okay, now we are on to the articulation part of this video. Let's do a quick deep dive and see how much posability this figure has to offer us. Starting with his head. Side to side motion. Pretty good. Pretty far back. And a good range of motion putting his head down. The elbows are on a single joint, so they're not double jointed, but there is good range of motion though, in the shoulders and in the elbows. Pretty flexible in the hands as well. He does have torso articulation, but that is kind of stiff. He can almost do a full split, but let's not forget he is an old man, so he's not as flexible as he once was. There's not much range of motion there. They do have a thigh swivel, and it is, holy cow, it is, am I wrong? Is that not a thigh swivel? I don't know. It looks like it maybe was supposed to be, but I don't think it is. It's got double jointed knees, so good range of motion there. His ankle is on a ball joint, and he does have toe articulation. Overall, his articulation is not too shabby. So now we will go ahead and give him a rating on his articulation. I'm going to go ahead and say that he's a 6.9 out of 10. Mainly due to how stiff he is in the torso area and the single joint on the elbows. The double jointed elbows tend to have a lot more flexibility. For it being a single joint, it's not bad. It does have good range of motion. Shoulders are pretty decent. I thought that this was a thigh swivel, but I guess it's not because it ain't moving. Double jointed knees, pretty good range of motion there. Good range of motion in the feet. I didn't test out the ankles, but I would assume it's a ball joint, so it's probably got good range of motion. But overall, I'm going to give this a 6.9 out of 10. Now, let's get him into a cool pose and talk about whether or not this figure is or isn't something that you should add to your collection. Here we have Batman in a really cool pose as we're getting a final 360 look at him. I did swap out his head sculpt, so now he's wearing his cowl. Swapped out one of his hands so he can hold the rope with the batarang at the end. And in the other hand, like I said earlier, he's got those batarangs between his fingers, and he's doing his best Wolverine impersonation. What more could you ask for? Anyways, let's talk about if this figure is a pass or a grab. It's a grab. You don't want to pass up on this figure. Normally I'd say, oh, yeah, he'd be a great addition to anybody's Batman collection, especially for Batman enthusiasts. And then I'd say, oh, well, if you want to save your money and you already have a lot of Batman figures. Yeah, I'm not saying that this time because this guy is absolutely amazing from head to toe. I understand this sculpt has been used once before, but so what? It wasn't used like this, and the head sculpts are new. Ooh. And they look so good. You guys will not be sorry picking up this seniorized version of Batman. And yes, that's how I'm going to say it. You guys can make fun of me if you want. But I'm really happy I was able to get my hands on this. Like I said earlier, found it at my local Best Buy for $30. So hopefully you guys are lucky enough to get your hands on this. It's a really cool figure. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here while we did a review on another great McFarlane product. Until next time, never stop collecting.